Welcome to my humble little office. My name is R. Keith Andrews. I am a spiritual guide and paranormal adept. The journey continues today on June 17th, 2021 at approximately 12:40 p.m. PST. Well, things got off to an interesting start today. However, at least we are getting things organized. Or more to the point, we're following through with the ones we've already gotten organized. So, with that in mind, we were asked today to help somebody else get their finances organized. They thought they were in real serious trouble. As it turned out, they were worrying about a lot of things. The finances themselves were in good shape. The problem was their method of handling them. And they've got the cash flow. They've been doing it, but they've been doing it in such a way that it was very stressful for them. Net result, we went, sat down, talked to them for a bit, and got it sorted out. Which, if they do, as they put it, how are we going to get this done? I said, we'll get you debt free with your money. Not with a loan, not with losing any of the credit cards, just using the money you've already got. And they went, well, how are we going to do that? I said, we're going to do that by you doing exactly what we tell you to do. Okay, but we will explain. If you've got questions, ask. Okay, we'll figure out whether that works in very short order here. Depends entirely on whether they use the tools. Now, the reality is this. It doesn't matter what tools, who gives you what tools. The best tools in the world are absolutely useless if you don't use them, which is why I rely on this list. Okay, yes, I moved it over to my left side because, well, frankly, it's been helping my left arm. You know, it's kind of interesting when you think about it. I desire to get my left arm working, and for those of you that are not what is called ambidextrous, in other words, you can use either hand easily. One of the tricks with getting the offhand to work, and this applies to your left hand or your right one, whichever one is what they call your offhand, the hand you don't usually use. If you put yourself in a position where you have to use it regularly, it will be sluggish to start with, but what'll happen is you get the coordination back. For me, it works out really well that I drink coffee. Okay. Now, I just got word today. Yeah, just got word this morning that my Author House deal with regards to the Birth of the Wolf Pack is going into the final stages of approval before going into printing. With that in mind, we didn't get quite so much for English. By the way, this is a live recording, meaning I do not go back and edit out any of the glitches. When I'm done the recording, I simply go back, double check, make sure I got the date right, and then carry on. If I mess up the date, I go back and start over all over again. Okay, so with that in mind, I take the time to go through it all, and to go through the entire yep, we're going to stumble over it badly. I do the complete video. You get all the hiccups, all the jumbles. If you ever meet me in person, you'll find I talk exactly the same way. And sad to say, hands move a lot. Okay. But, as I said, every tool that I offer people, whether it's in personal life, in business life, or in how to deal with alien abductions, my labs, that sort of thing. Okay, I've been doing this for over 40 years now. Well, in all fairness, I've been doing it my whole life. But I've been doing it for 48 as far as the consulting goes. What would it be now? 86, so 35 years of that has been professional, as in generating an income. Every tool I offer, if it applies to me, I'm personally using it. Now, if you've watched the past videos that I've got, specifically the ones under the subtitle Races of the Worlds, and the ones that are titled Language, okay, the subsets. If you look at those sets, okay, and in order to do that, just to subscribe to the channel, to this channel, go back and look at the back issues. There's a lot of them. As of March 26th of this year, I started doing my best to do a daily one. Now, it doesn't always work out, but my schedule is a little screwy at best. So with that in mind, okay, what's happened is I've ended up with a whole pile of things. Now, I've got to check something here for half a second. So, with that in mind, I'm going to put this on pause. I'll be right back. Well, that's interesting. I don't know if that paused or not. If not, then you've just seen a bit of dead air here, which I don't like. But I can't do much with it at this point. Because like I said, I'm not going back to edit it. And if it's just a little bit of dead air, by the look of it, probably only a minute-ish. So, hope that's not the case. But I can't do much with it at this point. And much more importantly, I won't do much with it. So, anyway, that said, this neat little tool works like an absolute charm. That's my list of goals. Okay, and I've gotten a fair chunk of them already done. By the time I'm done this, I'll be able to rack off another 2. Like I said, you keep your tasks to 15 minutes to half an hour. By doing that, you can reclaim power over your own life. It may not seem like a real big shift, but if you haven't given it a shot, give it a shot, then decide how big of a difference it makes to you. Okay, very important from that standpoint. Now, by altering the things in your life that you're not content with, okay, what you'll find is, first of all, you'll find your home life goes easier. Like your personal life goes easier, as in the way you handle day-to-day stresses, day-to-day responsibilities, day-to-day desires. Now, don't forget, when we're talking about this list, remember to put on it things such necessary things like grab breakfast, grab supper, there's all sorts of variations on what people think where it comes to food. Okay, and what you should be eating, like when you should be eating, what have you. I can tell you the method that I'm using, I was quite happy the other day. I don't know if I mentioned this because my memory is not always what I'd like it to be. But about a month or so back, I was sitting at 222, and my goal was to drop my weight. Well, I just checked my weight yesterday, I think. Might have been the day before. And I was down to 215. Now, that's not a massive jump, but it does indicate one little detail. I've made another step closer. My ultimate goal is to get down around the 180. I am not even going to remotely try and get to what the doctors say. Because according to the medical stats in Canada here, at least the ones I was shown, at 5'8", I should be about 145 pounds. And there is no way I'm taking 80 pounds off of my current weight. I'm just not going to do it. Sorry, 70 pounds, I guess, at this point. But think of the frame I've got, and think of what that's going to look like if I'm 70 pounds lighter. I'm not doing it. Okay. But I've got a goal laid out. I'm very pleased to say that much as I gave myself, when I was looking at the editing side, the proofing side, I gave myself a goal of 5 pages a week. Well, in the last 2 months, we have gone through and proofread, ready for print at this point, 80 pages. Okay, so we're making really good headway, and as soon as it gets done, as soon as the proofing gets done, then it'll go to print. I've already talked to my artist, and I've already got the information for printing from the artist. So that's fantastic, at least in my eyes. Okay, it's one of these goals that it's going to come around. Again, it boils down to this. I'm not the greatest marketer on the planet. As a matter of fact, I'm pretty much useless at it. So I'm getting help where I can. And I do encourage you, if you've got a goal that you'd like, okay, when I talk about keeping it realistic, okay, if you're having troubles with this idea of, like, let's say, for instance, you desire to be an author. Now, I've seen writing come out through other books, with other people, and I'm looking at them going, how did you let that go to print? Rest assured, if you desire to become an author, you may have to go the route of self-publishing, but make it happen. Whether it is the best of the best, whether it's a top seller, it doesn't matter. What does matter is you get a dream in your head, follow through with it, if it is at all possible. Now, understand there are long drawn-out steps. Okay, for instance, if you desire to get into politics, it's going to take you, whether you like it or not, it's going to, in all probability, take years to get there. This doesn't mean that you can't do it. The last thing I ever dreamed of doing was coming on video and starting to do a daily post. Now, my YouTube channel, because of lack of marketing, in all fairness, is not growing as quick as many people's do. But then, it's really neat that way. I'm not here to watch, to play video games, which seem to be the ones that really take off in a hurry. I'm not a video gamer. I'm a tabletop gamer. Okay, meaning I still I use paper and dice to play the game. Okay. People from back when I was younger, many people still game today, but a lot of it's gone digital. I don't go digital. I can't track the digital well. Okay, myself, I have a lot of trouble with technology. So I just don't stress myself out with it. But nonetheless, my goal over the next number of years, if that's what it takes, is to do exactly what I return to do. Okay, and why I keep coming back every day as much as I can. And that's to spread the word, to re-spread the word that together we can make this world a better place for most people. Now, the reason I say most is simple. There are some people out there that really are, they're just not interested in working well with anybody. Okay, there are such things, unfortunately, as sociopaths, people that just don't connect on the emotional level at all. Now, I'm not a clinical psychologist, so I can't tell you the exact definition, but I do know there are very naturally mean people out there. And if we work together and make this a peaceful world for everybody, okay, obviously the people that like or that are more connected to the violent world are not going to be as happy. Okay, you take a look at soldiers that are geared for combat, and that's the way their mind thinks. Take away their war, all of a sudden they've got a problem. Okay, doesn't necessarily bring happiness. People that are on the road all the time and are staying away from home, okay, if that's where they're happy and you take away that necessity to be away from home, they're not going to be that happy. But that being said, if you're in a home where you're striving to stay out of the house, it may be time to look at whether or not that home is working. And I tell you, and this is in my opinion, obviously, I'm the one saying it, if you're in a home where you're holding the relationship together for your children, I will tell you, in over 40 years of doing this, I have never seen a case where staying at home for the kids has worked out in the kids' favor. They usually come up with all kinds of other complications, and here's the thing. If you stay there for the kids, what you're teaching the kids is, if your relationship is miserable, stay in it anyway. And that's what they, in all likelihood, are going to go out and try and replicate. Now, I'm betting, as far as parents go, if you're a parent that likes your kids, my presumption is you're not interested in teaching them how to live, how to move into a self-deprivating, into a self-abusive lifestyle. Okay, I know that wouldn't be my first choice. Okay, so if you're staying in a relationship because you have kids, this is, in my opinion, categorically the wrong reason to stay there. Okay, it really is one of these situations where absolutely keep the kids in mind. And I do encourage you, in my opinion, and what I found has worked for many people I've talked to, is having the kids, this idea of having the kids, I want them there 50% of the time, you can have them 50% of the time. This doesn't work for the kid. The kid does not come up feeling secure anywhere. They don't come up knowing where home is. Okay, so what I have found works best, and do your own research. Don't just take my word for it. But look at the situation of, of having a primary residency in one family, in one of the parents' place. Have absolutely dual custody, have access to the education and what have you for both of you, absolutely. But by having one place where the kids are living, the child will likely come back with a whole lot better setup, where they feel more secure, they feel more like they belong, instead of feeling like they're a pawn. Okay, and remember, that's the whole thing. I mean, I've seen people do the same thing with pets. Okay, and it just does not make sense to me. Now, maybe I'm a little bit backwards. I don't know. You get to figure that one out. Okay, but the important factor is this. When you turn around and you start eliminating the negative things in your life, the things that you're not content with, you start altering them. Okay, so that you're no longer discontent with them. You'll find that by straightening out your own life, your own perspective, like I've started with my office, okay, because this is where I spend most of my time, whether I'm reading or whether I'm writing. Well, I guess I am reading, checking emails, doing my banking, writing my books, okay, responding to emails and what have you. It's all done from right here. So the idea was real simple. Get it organized so that it's easy to work with. And even at this point, much as I've made headway, I still have problems that I've got to sort out. Okay, but then you got to remember, the way this sounds like I'm justifying it, I'm really not. It is still cluttered. You can't tell it quite as badly right now, but that's the way it is. Okay, it's not a question of it being an excuse for it. It's a question of, I spent my entire life, up until the last couple of years, being an absolute professional procrastinating pack rat. Meaning, if I could put something off, I would. If I could avoid doing something, I would. And if I could fit an extra thing on the counter, I would. Okay. I've spent the last couple of years trying to override 40, almost 50 years, well, 40 years anyway, of packing things in, of hanging on to stuff. I don't require it anymore now. That's just my personal opinion. Now, if you're wondering if you're a pack rat or a hoarder, okay, the difference that I found, I don't know if this is a clinical difference, but the big difference I found is that pack rats keep pretty much everything available because they may require it. Hoarders don't even throw out the garbage. And I mean things like pizza crusts, old coffee grounds, they hang on to the whole 9 yards, including kitty litter and what have you. Now that sounds really bad from my end, and not being a clinical psychologist, I'm not one to judge. But I am, and they shouldn't be either, by the way, but I am one to say it doesn't work for me personally. I mean, I'm not happy being a pack rat right now, which is why I've been getting rid of so much stuff. Okay. Now, of course, because I'm still, to say the least, a little scattered. Oh yeah, and I did discover something. I've got to track down, there's a book that I found that I've got the manuscript all ready for. I'm going to be organizing and shipping off to my local printer to get it printed. I mentioned this one. Yeah, I know, that went sideways in a hurry. This is a little kid's book called Mr. Dreamcatcher. I've already written the sequel to it, and it's ready to go to print. I just haven't done anything with it. So it just dawned on me when I came across the manuscript for it, it's time to go through it and really get it into print so I'll have both of them done. And these are just little goals for me. It's kind of like this little figure that I've got up here. I haven't done anything with him today. He is on my list to do. I think he was on my list yesterday. Remember that thing about procrastination? But anyway, like I said, when you get the energy in your own immediate area sorted around, what you'll find happen is that not only does your house work a little more readily, are you a little bit more relaxed in your home, but it also means that you have the capacity to cope with the stresses outside your home. Okay. So that when you get out, you can treat people a little bit more closer to what you desire to be treated. Rest assured, if you're snappy, if you're tired, if you're overstressed, you're going to be snappy, you're going to be short with people. And that's no fun for anybody. Okay. I've seen people tear absolute strips off of people doing their job for no other reason than they were grumpy. Than the person doing the snapping was grumpy. And I'll tell you, having worked in hospitality for 24 years myself, if you're having that bad, if you're working and you're doing your best, and you get one customer that comes in and tears a strip off you, it can throw your whole day for a loop. Okay, on the flip side of that, if you're having a really bad day, okay, I pulled it one day. I was walking down the street with a friend of mine, and I says, hang on half a sec, I'll be right back. And I went off the path I was on, went into a gas station, walked up to the counter, and I just looked at the woman and I went, can I confuse you? And she goes, huh? I says, yep, and walked out again. Now, much as that is an odd thing to do, it did put a smile on her face. And when I was talking to her a couple of days later, she did mention that she had been having an absolutely stressful, miserable day until I came in and pulled that. Now, it was right out of left field. There was no purpose to it because I didn't buy anything. I just went in and asked her that one question. But that simple break from the stress is all it took to reset things for her. And quite often, that is all it takes. Okay, when you're going into restaurants and you're dealing with people, remember, they're there, yes, they are there to serve you, but they're not there to be abused. So when you go into a restaurant, you treat the people like they're decent people. Because the odds are two factors happen. If you treat your waitress like she's a decent person, she's likely to give you a lot better service. Okay, she's likely to attend to your culinary desires without too terribly much trouble providing. Now, if you treat them poorly, they won't talk to you much, you won't get the service you're hoping for, but you will get the service you deserve, in my opinion. Hence why you do your best to treat people the way you desire to be treated. It doesn't always work, and it certainly does not guarantee that everything will go smoothly for you. Okay, but this is one of those things where if we work together, we can turn this into a better place for most people. For those of you that are heading congregations, heading ceremonies and what have you, where you're guiding people, where you're telling people, I'm going, this is the way to get to a better life. You've got to get away from talking about fearing everything around you. Okay, money is not the root of all evil. Fear is the root of all evil. Love is the root of all good. Okay, now they both exist in equal quantities. Okay, the trick is to decide which one you are going to choose. Are you going to choose conflict or are you going to choose peace? Okay, now understand that war has never brought peace. Okay, war brings quiet. Now, personally, it's very simple for me. I simply choose peace. Now, I'm going to bring this to a close. Okay, and I will be back tomorrow. But until then, take care of yourselves and each other, and for pity's sakes, stay positive.